Well, I just ran into a major disappointment. I showed the fake news stand in an earlier video, and it's a very cool looking accessory. I started trying to figure out where exactly I was going to put it on my layout, and I put it in a couple of places. The first place didn't look quite right there. I moved it and put another place. When I did that, it was next to another Lionel O-scale figure. The problem is that the fake news stand that TrainWorld sent me is not O-scale. It looks more like G-scale. If you measure the height of the newsboy standing out in front of the newsstand, he comes in at 10.5 feet tall. Now that's pretty tall for a newsboy. On G-scale, that would be about 5.25 feet tall, which would be a realistic height for a newsboy in G-scale, but 10.5 feet, no, that's not at all realistic for a newsboy in O-scale. So I've got an email sent to TrainWorld to ask them if they can swap it for a O-scale fake news stand. I'm hoping they can. I'm a little bit concerned though that maybe this is something that Lionel's trying to pass off as O-scale when it's really not, because the blue and orange Lionel packaging that it came in, the box it came in, has the correct Lionel item number on the outside of the box for the O-scale fake news stand. So that's going to be a challenge for me to try to get that squared away, and hopefully I'll be able to get one on the right scale. If not, this has got to go back anyway, because it really looks ridiculous on the layout when you've got a newsboy that's 10.5 feet tall. Maybe you'd make an outstanding basketball player, but not so much for a newsboy. In this video, we're just going to be concentrating on getting the Sinclair gasoline tank truck put together and then positioned on the layout by Ethel Service and Gas Station so that we can make that look more realistic. And we're going to get on with that right now. Well, I've finished the assembly of the Sinclair gas truck. It's a white tractor with a tilt cab and a White-Fruehauf tank trailer. And the only step left to do is to put on the decals. So I'm ready to do that next, and I'll be doing that, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like then. But this is just really cool the way it turned out. I've got the doors open here so that the access to the pumps to pump the fuel out of the tanks on the truck and into the station tanks is available. The wheels came out looking great, I think. The tilt cab just kind of opens and closes, and that looks great. I've got the mirrors on, I've got some detailing done on it. The only assembly step that's left is to put this little ladder, access ladder, on. That access ladder will give them, the men who are driving the tank truck, access to the tanks openings on the top, so that they can fill the tank up at the depot before they bring it out. And that'll go on after the decal goes on the back, because the decal is going to go underneath that. The kit includes this cool little sign here, and decals will go on either side of that to make that a Sinclair sign. And then there's these two figures here that I have not done anything yet, but I've been going back and forth, should I do something with them or not? And I think end of the day, I think I'm going to go ahead and do something with those two figures, paint them up. Just to show you a little close-up of the tank, on the bottom of the tank, I decided to go with red for the pipe that goes to the access the fuel tanks and then comes into the pump housing here. You can kind of see it in behind there. There's also the fire extinguisher here, the dolly wheels on, the spare tire underneath, and this here is the air lines, the air brake lines that go to the air brakes on the rear wheels of the trailer. And I decided to go with red on that as well to just kind of get some contrast and set it off. So next step is put on the decals, and once I have that done, I think we're going to have something really special to look at here on the layout. The tractor, just real quickly, it tilt cab, goes up and down. It's got these cool clearance lights on the front. The air horns on the top, I went with silver metallic for them. And you can see the little mirrors on either side here. If I get my hand kind of behind them and give the contrast, you can see you got these little rear view mirrors on either side of the cab. That's really cool. Again, I did a little bit of red on the wheels here, the center of the wheels, and then did black on the hubs. So that looks great. I touched off the turn signals and the headlights in the front and the white logo with a little bit of silver paint to make them stand out. The interior of the cab is pretty cool as well. Not going to be real easy to see, but I painted the seats a brown, so it looks like kind of an old cheap vinyl interior. And steering wheel is mounted in there, instrument panel is mounted in there. And on the back of the cab, there's the levers for opening and closing for releasing the cab so it can tilt. The gas tank is right there, the fifth wheel is right there. This was really fun to put together. I have not done a lot of kits like this in my life, but this was really fun to do and to get put together. So the trailer sets into the fifth wheel, if I can find the center hole for it, and that is the way you have to do is to make sure you mount that fifth wheel level. If you tilt the fifth wheel, then the trailer's not going to set on it level. So let me get to there we go, we got it hooked up. So all together, I'll come back after I get the decals on it, and I think it's going to look great. I'm already very, very pleased with it. I have to tell you that in putting this together, I had a lot of help from a YouTube video that I found, and I'll put a link to it below. A very experienced model maker, kit user, has this exact truck that he did. Now, he painted a little bit differently than me, but pretty close to the same. And his looks spectacular. Mine probably doesn't look quite as good as his, but I'll put a link below so you can see that. And if you're interested in doing something like this, he just has a lot of great videos with a lot of great information. So we'll be back after we get the decals on. Well, we have the decals on the white tractor and Fruehauf trailer, tank trailer, and it just looks, I think, spectacular. I'm just really pleased with the way this came out. The little Fruehauf labels on the trailer, that nameplates, and then the Sinclair gasoline on the trailer and on the tractor. I got the ladder on the back of the trailer. There's a Sinclair gasoline logo sign behind that trailer, and it is just really turned out well. This is another little thing that came with it, is this little signboard with the Sinclair gasoline logo on it. Coming up next, running the trains. And there is the Sinclair tank truck, gasoline tanker, with the white engine, tilt cab, and the Fruehauf trailer that is unloading gasoline for Ethel's service and gas station. And we've got this little scene here, I think pretty well where it needs to be. Maybe I may go ahead and paint up the figures of the two workmen, that truck driver and helper that operate that truck. But I'm not sure yet about that. I have to think about that a little bit. I've got some loose parts laying around here on the layout. You can see I haven't put the trolley back in place yet. I need to get another board that I can lay across that whole length that will level that completely so that I can put the trolley down level. And then we've got some more rolling stock and locomotives coming pretty soon. So we'll be able to add a little bit more to it in the near future. In the meantime, I've got 3 trains running on it. I've got the Polar Express Lion Chief Plus 2.0 passenger train on the lower level there on track number 2. On track number 1, the outer track on the lower level, got the Polar Express freight train pulled by the Lion Chief Plus 2.0 pair Marquette locomotive. And then on the upper level, I've got another Polar Express passenger train that's being pulled by a Lion Chief locomotive. So those are the three I've got running today. We will hopefully have some more coming in within the next week and be able to show some additional Polar Express equipment rolling on the tracks next time we do a video. We'll have to just wait and see how long that takes to arrive. The Fake News Stand I have shipped back to TrainWorld where I bought it. That was unfortunately Lionel is not being really honest when they say it's an O gauge. It's not an O gauge, it's more of a G gauge, and that's like twice the size of O gauge, and it's just looked really odd when I tried to find a place to position it around my layout because it was just completely the wrong scale. Sometimes you can get by with mixing different scales, but this one was like way too much off. So Lionel does not actually make an O gauge. They make a G gauge and pass it off as an O gauge. So I'm not sure what in the world is going on at Lionel, but there's you know, several little warning signs that things are not really right at Lionel, and I'm not sure why that is. Now would be a great time to click the subscribe if you haven't already done so. Click the thumbs up down below and like this video. Comment on anything that you have on your mind as you watch it, and I'd look forward to hearing from you. So again, as always, thanks for watching.